Today, on Be Something Wonderful, Ancient Manifesting Secrets Revealed. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I got an email from a subscriber yesterday who said, Tom, the Bible says, ask and you shall receive. And this is what I've always believed, but it's never really been my experience. Sometimes my prayers get answered, sometimes they don't. I know you pointed to that in several of your videos. And as I've grown more in my spirituality and this idea of manifesting your desires, I've explored a lot of spiritual teachers, and a lot of those teachers say that it's not about asking, it's about affirming. And so what I really want to ask you is, how do you pray? If it's not asking, you shall receive. It's about affirming. How do you affirm? And I guess in other words, how do I believe? Well, guys, we're going to unpack this today and more. So we're all familiar with the New Testament and the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where they talk about the teachings of Jesus. But it's always been known that there was a lost gospel called the Lost Gospel of Thomas. And really, up until the late 19th century, they didn't have any evidence of it, but they did find some remnants of it in the late 19th century. And then it wasn't until 1945 that they discovered an entire copy of, or entire manuscript of the Lost Gospel of Thomas. It was found in Nag Hammadi, Egypt, and is now in the Nag Hammadi Library. And what's in this gospel has about 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. And what's in this gospel could be, it really you'll find shocking. But not shocking in a bad way, shocking in a good way. Why? Because like the Bible, it talks about these ideas of oneness and manifestation, but it really, in the Gospel of Thomas, it really talks about it more directly in a metaphysical interpretation of consciousness, oneness, and manifestations. And in this gospel, it actually does give us the secret of how to ask for what we want. So this is what I want to explore today. It will answer all your questions. So let's hit it. The Lost Gospel of Thomas. So it opens up the first saying, 114 sayings, the first verse, whoever discovers the meaning of these sayings won't taste death. Wow, what a powerful opening. Won't taste death, right? This is the idea that in the 3D world, when you're focused on the 3D world, when you're walking around unconscious of that power within you, you're dead. You're dead to that higher consciousness. You're dead to that more powerful you, right? And it's also saying the idea of eternal life, that you don't die, right? Your physical body passes, but then you step beyond the veil, right? You step into the formless and then into form again, right? This is the idea. So this is the idea of the attention in the shadow world. Then in 2 it says, whoever seeks shouldn't stop until they find. When they find, they'll be disturbed. They'll be amazed and then reign over everything. So first you'll be disturbed, then you'll be amazed, and then you'll reign over everything. What was Jesus saying here? It's the truth that sets you free. It goes against all conventional wisdom. It goes against everything that you've learned, that the power is outside of you. That God and that power is outside of you, that you've got to ask an outside power for what you want. What's it saying here? When the power's within you, that's why you'd be amazed that everything you want is within you, that you have that power to be, do, or have whatever your heart desires, right? Then you'll create your own reality, and then you'll rule your own world. That's what it's saying, right? You'll be amazed because you'll learn that the power is within you. Then you'll reign over everything. You'll reign over your world, right? Wow, this is powerful. And here's what 3 says. Rather, the kingdom or ultimate reality that it says in some translations is inside of you and it is outside of you. It's inside of you and it's outside of you. But if you don't know yourselves, then you live in poverty and you are the poverty. Wow, that's powerful, right? The kingdom or ultimate reality, even in some translations, is inside of you and outside of you. Within is without, right? Within you is the power to create it within, to create that image within through your imagination, and then you manifest it outside of you in the 3D world. It's very clear here, right? But if you don't know yourself, if you don't know that power within, if you don't know who you are, then you live in poverty, right? Spiritual poverty, but also poverty in the outside world, right? You are poverty, right? Because you get who you are. If you don't know that spiritual connection, if you don't know that richness of that power within, you are poverty. You live in poverty, right? You are the one consciousness that moves through all that is. Right? This is what it's saying. All your power comes from within to manifest your outer world. You live in spiritual poverty if you don't know it. Right? If you don't know it. If you don't know that within manifests out without, right? If you believe in a power outside of yourself and that you don't know that all the riches are within you, you live in poverty and you are the poverty. Wow, that's big. And then in saying 27, if you don't fast from the world, wow, this is big, you won't find ultimate reality. Here it says ultimate reality, right? If you don't make the Sabbath into a Sabbath, you won't see source. It even uses the word source here. This is shocking. Although the Bible points to all this stuff, this is direct. The Gospel of Thomas, right? Lost teachings of Jesus, the hidden secrets, talking about ultimate reality, talking about source, saying if you don't make the Sabbath into a Sabbath, you won't see source, right? If you don't live from within, if you don't live in that higher state of consciousness, then you won't see the source. You won't see that power and wisdom within, that imagination, right? You got to fast from the 3D world, right? You've got to ignore it. You've got to turn your attention from the 3D world to find ultimate reality. And then you've got to maintain that feeling or that feeling of wish fulfilled, right? You maintain the Sabbath because to make a Sabbath into a Sabbath, right? You make it into that state. You start walking in that state. You start being that state, right? And here's saying 113. His disciples asked him, when will ultimate reality arrive? There it is again, the kingdom or ultimate reality, right? And what does Jesus say? If you won't come by looking for it, it won't come. It won't come by looking for it. In other translations, it says waiting for it, right? They don't say, look over here or look over there. Rather, ultimate reality is already spread throughout the earth, and the people don't see it. Wow, that's amazing, right? The power's always been within you. Jesus is saying it very clear here. And really, this language, it can't even be clearer, right? And so, so Gregg Braden, also who wrote the Divine Matrix and the Power and the Lost Prayer and these other books, talks about this, right? Talks about it in his teachings. He points to the Lost Gospel of Thomas. He talks about the Lost Gospel of Thomas, and he points to a couple sayings in here that give us the secret on how to pray. This is in line with what Neville Goddard, his teachings, right? And here's the 2 points. Here are the 2 primary points that Jesus was trying to make in his teachings. Feeling is the prayer, right? This is what the Buddha said. This is what Neville Goddard was talking about. Feeling is the prayer, right? Feeling as if our prayers have already been answered. The 2 things, feeling is the prayer, and what is that feeling? As if our prayers have already been answered. That's what we're talking about. And then Gregg Braden talks about feeling equals thought plus emotion. Hear this. It's not just thought, right? It's not just thought that your prayers have already been answered. It has to have that emotion. And Braden teaches there are 2 emotions, love or fear. So think of this. If the emotion that you're putting to your thought, that I want something, that this is my wish, that you're asking for, is one of wanting, is one of not having, is one of needing, then you're in a motion of fear or lack. And then you're creating a feeling of lack, a feeling of needing it. Hear this, right? It's thought plus emotion. If the emotion's love, an emotion of love is knowing you already have it. It's feeling you have no needs, right? This is the idea. This is what it's talking about here. This is big, right? Because if it's thought, the thought or the intention of what you want, plus the emotion of love and fear, well, if it's based in fear, that's based in lack, need, wanting, unbelief, holding on, right? It's a contracting energy. If that you combine that with your thought, you create a feeling of a contracting feeling, an energy of feeling lack, an energy of feeling that it's absent, right? Because remember the two conditions. But if it's out of love, it's out of trust, belief, and letting go. Thought plus emotion equals the feeling. If the emotion is love, that's about trust, that's about belief, that's about letting go, that's about not needing anything. Add that to your thought, now you create a feeling of already having it. Feeling is the prayer, feeling that it's already been answered. You have no needs. Wow, this is powerful. And this comes from the Gospel of Thomas. And it's very clear here, Jesus is pointing to it. When you make the two, thought and emotion, into one, into feeling, and if you say mountain, go away, it'll go. Wow! There it is, thought plus emotion into one, into feeling. When you make the two into one, right? And then saying 48, same idea. If two make peace with each other in a single house, they'll say to the mountain, go away, and it will. The idea again, if two, thought and emotion, make peace with each other in a single house, in a single feeling in your body, in a single feeling within your imagination, then it will say, mountain, go away, and it will. Jesus is directly giving us the secret here that wasn't directly revealed in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Here it is, right? Calling forth. Remember, what Gregg Braden talks about, he talks about the divine matrix. What is the divine matrix? That's the connective energy that connects us all. That's consciousness. That's that I am awareness that he's talking about. He talks about it as a divine matrix. That's God, right? So when you look at the 3D reality and you see that your desire is not there, you accept that. But then you call forth, you call forth another quantum possibility, another possibility from that God consciousness. Accept the current 3D as a possibility, one of infinite possibilities, right? This is how they heal, right? Brandon gives an example how they healed a tumor, right? And the healers saw the tumor and they said, okay, that's one possibility in God consciousness or in the quantum field. Now we're going to call forth another possibility. Right? And we're going to feel that possibility as a reality. They turn away from the existing tumor and tune in to the new possibility in that infinite field of possibilities. Wow, that's powerful. So what does Brandon say? When thought and emotion become one in our hearts, we create the feelings in our bodies. Right? He attributes that the thought is attributed to the top three chakras, right? And then emotion is attributed to the bottom three chakras. With the heart in the middle, they meet in the middle. That creates the feeling. That's what Brandon's saying here. He's saying that's the language to speak to the divine matrix, or that's the language to communicate with God in that God consciousness. We must speak the language that the divine matrix recognizes. In the intelligent mind, God, or ultimate reality, it's all the same thing. And that language is feelings. And how do you get that feeling of what wish already fulfilled? The feeling is the thought plus the emotion. And the emotion's either based on fearful thoughts of lack, of not having it, of doubt, of unbelief, or loving thoughts of already knowing you have no needs, that everything you want you already have. Right? There's no wanting, there's no needing. That's the idea. Ask what it means to ask. So it's not about not asking, it's about how to ask. Right? How do you ask God, or how do you ask that divine matrix for what you want? So yes, you're asking, but you're asking with feelings. And those feelings are the thoughts plus the emotions, right? That's how you communicate, right? This is what the Gospel of Thomas shows us how to ask. I left a link below for you guys. So when you create the feeling in your heart as if your prayer is already answered, here he even talks, Brandon even points to the teachings of Neville Goddard, right? As if the prayer is already answered, that creates the electrical and magnetic waves that bring that answer to you. He's talking about thoughts and emotions as electrical and magnetic waves, right, that are sent out that communicate with that electrical and magnetic energy in the universe, right, that God consciousness, right? He takes it from a science standpoint and a spiritual standpoint, right? And so here, and the other thing that Brandon points out, this is shocking, right? This comes from John 16, 23, 24. Here's the edited version, the version that we're familiar with today in our current day Bibles. And here he has the original version, the Aramaic version, before the edits, right? So let's take a look at John 16, 24, 23, 24, the edited version, the one we're familiar with. If you ask the Father for anything in my name, he will give it to you. Until now, you have asked for nothing in my name. Ask and you will receive, or you shall receive, so that your joy may be full. This is what we're asking, you will receive. This is what we're in the Bible. This is what we're used to, right? But this is the original version. This is the unedited version. This is what Jesus really was trying to say, right? All things that you ask straightly, directly, from inside my name. Notice the language here, inside, within, you will be given. So far, you haven't done this. Then he goes on to say, ask without hidden motive, without judgment, right? Good or bad or right or wrong, right? You're not judging the current 3D reality. You're not judging the current circumstances, right? And be surrounded by your answer. Hear this. Be surrounded by your answer, right? Surrounded means the feeling as if you already have it. Jesus is giving us the answer here. It's not clear here. Here it's clear. Ask without hidden motive, no judgment, and be surrounded by your answer. Be enveloped by what you desire. Wow, I can't get any more. Be enveloped by what you desire, that your gladness be full. Wow, be enveloped by what you desire. Your thought and emotion become one. As Jesus was pointing out in the gospel, in the last gospel of Thomas, right? The thought and emotion become one. You're enveloped by what you desire, where thought and emotion come one, and then surrounded by the answer. Wow, look at these two versions. This is shocking, right? The difference here, right? This is good, but it doesn't tell you how. This tells you how. It's through your emotions. It's through that consciousness. Right? It's through that, because we're all one, because we're all connected, right? Because that the kingdom is within us, or that energy is within us and through us and out, inside and outside of us. That's why we can do it. That's why we can ask and receive, because it's with our thoughts and emotions and feelings. This is powerful, right? This gives you the key, right? This gives you the key. This really is the ancient manifesting secrets through Gregg Braden and the Gospel of Thomas. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. Hit us up on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Karen, our website at tomkaren.com or BeSomethingWonderful.com, or write me anytime at info@BeSomethingWonderful.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, with great love, this is Tom. See you soon.